Hello, everyone. Ah, the word that has been floating around in my mind for about a day or so is coherence. And what I wanted to first, I'd like you to just hear the word coherence and just see what comes up for you when you try that on. And uh, I've been experiencing, and I wonder if you have a sense of my own centeredness or my own ability to presence being pulled in different directions over the last, well, particularly over the last week. A lot of, I've noticed I will put something down and it falls over. I reach for something, it's just not quite lined up. And so I wanted to use our loop of awareness and our love scoops today to see what allows each of us to have the experience of our whole selves being present. And that when we're not present, how can we use loop of awareness and our love scoops to gather, the sense I was getting of gathering all of the little bits that are flying off in different directions and have them all interacting with each other. And so I'd like you to just check in to see, how are you experiencing your body and yourself right now? Do you feel of a whole, or do you feel like different parts are going in different directions? And what I want to invite you to do is to just let that happen for a moment. So just notice, like, if your feet are going off somewhere, let them go ahead and start to do that, and if your shoulders are feeling heavy, let them go ahead and do that. So you let your body sort of become a little village for a moment and let all of the different parts of you do what they're doing. Your head might be thinking of, oh my God, I have to go to the bank. Oh, but I forgot to take the trash out. Or no, just all of the things that your head is doing, let that happen. And then notice where your attention is. And then notice what's happening here in this part of you. Are you feeling heavy or light? Or so just go ahead and let your body become a little village of different things going on. No, for just 30 seconds or so. Go ahead and do that. It's like, oh. And and if you're willing to do that, you'll get more of a sense of what we're up to here and how the loop of awareness can assist you. And so even if you're just thinking about that, notice that when you're being pulled lots of different directions, it's very difficult to act in complete harmony with what is going on. So I wanted to have you, as you're practicing your loop of awareness, I'd like you to first give attention to any part of you that has more of a quality to it, is more buzzy. And notice that when you give attention to the buzzy place, can you let yourself just become a little bit more buzzy? And then notice that you're letting your attention settle on you. It's like, oh, okay, I am here with that. I can experience that. Okay, we can bring that into. So I'd like you to let yourself love scoop and just gather that part of you. Just gather it and bring it in. Like, where do you feel most present in yourself? So right now I'm feeling most present in my diaphragm. And I feel a kind of So I can gather you just gather it on in and let it kind of come into the pool with the part of me that's feeling most present. And so I'd like you to just use your love scoops to just gather the or the, oh my God, I forgot, or oh, I just don't, and gather that and just bring it in. And notice when you bring it in, what happens. When you bring it in, when I bring that in, there's a sense of sort of gathering all of like sometimes, if I'm gathering our cats, and they're all over the place. And, I gather them and then they start to go off again and I gather them. And then they finally get, oh, this is very pleasant to be here. Ah, and then there's a kind of a settling of, oh, yes, oh, this feels good. Ah, what I notice also is when I'm gathering, there's a sense of out breath. Each time I gather something in, there's a, ah, okay. I don't have to, I'm gathered. So I'm also noticing that I usually gather to the front of me, but a lot of what is creating the is in my back. So yeah, so how can you gather? I like to, think of a waterfall or being in the shower, having that lovely, there's a kind of gathering that can be in flow. So letting your attention flow down the back of you. So it's also sensing, because when we get all flustered, my experience is that I don't sense all of me. I only sense where kind of the squeaky wheel is. So instead of only attending to the squeaky wheel. So as you've been gathering, you can gather this way, or you can gather, letting that just flow down your back. I can also feel my hands wanting to go, yeah. I think all of us have been carrying a lot. So notice what's happening in your shoulders. And how you might gather and ooze and bring that on in. So the other thing that happens for me, and I'd like you to take this into your loop of awareness, is I think we get wound when we're dealing with a whole lot going on. I think I get accelerated. And I'm accelerated and I'm responding to something. I haven't finished responding to that, and something else comes in, and it's a little bit like a pinball machine. And whereas presence, when I'm gathering and I can feel my centeredness accelerating, the first thing that happens is that I literally slow down. And I find my own breath again, and I find my own pace. The culture wants to accelerate us all the time. Just and pay attention to this and give attention to this, and don't pay any attention to you so that you have your attention outward. So I'd like you to experiment with the simply loop of awareness is shifting your attention from giving your attention out to giving your attention to what's going on inside you, and then giving your attention out, and then giving your attention to what's inside you. And I would like you to experiment with what it's almost like throwing out a big lasso, or throwing out a boomerang and then having that come back to you, finding the pace that feels most encouraging of your presence. And my guess is that it's slower than you usually, like if I'm in my car and I'm driving, my loop of awareness is very quick so that I can notice what's in front and what's in back of me, what's going on out there, and what's coming from the sides. And there's a way, even in traffic, that you can let your own loop of awareness, you can choose the pace and the rhythm of that. So I want you to, again, I'm coming back to that word coherence. And what I noticed was that I looked up the definition, and coherence is about the felt experience of wholeness. And so I thought, oh, it's related to integrity. Coherence is related to the experience of wholeness. And there's something that happens, like for any of you who managed to miss the Super Bowl game yesterday, what I experienced happening was, at the beginning, was exactly the kind of energy that we've been talking about. It felt like it was all over the place, and there's in weird, actually is an appropriate word, I think, for what was going on with the energy. But in the last part of the overtime, what I experienced was that the chiefs came into coherence with each other and they became a team. Whereas before they were just sort of all of these guys that didn't quite know what they were doing and they were clumsy and they were missing but then they went foom. And it's something that you can see. It's something that you can try on in yourself, that sense of what can I do to kind of experience the whoop. Here we are all together. And my suggestion is that playing with gathering with your love scoops and playing with your pace of particularly landing inside yourself will give you the sense of, oh, I can bring my whole self to this moment. I can presence myself and respond with all of me. And there's something else that happens that I think is quite magical. It's not logical. There's a field that gets created that allows you to do things that you can't do when you're just trying to be logical. And so that's the experiment that I want to invite you into this week, of playing particularly with when you send your attention out and you bring your attention back, make sure that you land in yourself. So I'm sitting on my swapper right now. You're probably wondering, why is she bouncing up and down? Because I'm on my swapper, which for me is a wonderful way of finding my rhythm, of feeling my whole body, of feeling the energy moving through all of me, but particularly landing. So I want you to actually gather up some of your attention that's out there and bring it back and let it land. So I want you to experiment with, what's landing for me? What do I do to land? And just let your, if you are willing to, and you just listen to your body, you'll get all kinds of different ideas. So it might be a little wiggle, it might be moving your face, it might be creating a sigh or a landing sound. So let yourself experiment for a couple of minutes of letting the attention go out and then gathering and landing. And when I'm practicing, I like to use more of my body than I would particularly, like if I'm out in public. I plan to go to the bank later today, and I might do some of this in the bank because I would. But if you are practicing and you let your body fully participate, then when you begin to do something, a little bit of that, like when you're out in public, your body will remember, oh, we're landing. Oh, when I take this, for me, it's particularly a satisfying out breath. And then there's a little ripple that comes out from that for me. So I invite you to let yourself gather and take a satisfying out breath. So for me, after that, I feel a pause where there's no debris, there's no extra, there's just a And for me, that's so refreshing. And it's something that I experience that we can give to ourselves throughout the day. Especially when you're, frantic, you've gone out the door and dropped the egg carton and you've got eggs that are all over there's things that happen, because right now it seems to me like there's a lot of going on in the collective. So when those kinds of things happen, rather than spinning out with it, this would be a great time for you to find your landing. So if you were to exaggerate what you do to land for just a moment, go ahead and do that. And also, I'd love for you to notice what other people are doing to land, because it might be something that you would like to try on. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I love all of the different things that you're doing. So like, for example, I was encouraged from what I'm seeing is like, oh, right, I could have even a little bit more space up in here rather than getting my computer posture going. So that ah is both an opening and a landing. Ah, love that. Wonderful. Thank you. Now, for those of you who, you may be new, welcome. And we used to do a card. We play with the Presence Connect Play app, which you're still absolutely encouraged to do. But what I'm focusing on this year are integrity cards. And what I intend to do is to pick one each time. And so both Michelle and I have the card that I picked today. And it's interesting with you can see, I think Michelle's a little bit better. And what I want to invite you to do, first of all, I want to let you know that all of the cards now have videos, have little short videos, 3 to 5 minutes, that gives you a sense of how you might apply the particular card in your life. And those are all on the foundation for conscious living. So you can follow up. But this one, I'd like you to let yourself just close your eyes and listen to. I'm going to read first the statement. And this is from the card. The card is called Presence. And that's what we've been playing with today. I turn toward what is actually occurring with open posture and easy breath as I respond resourcefully to what wants to happen. So now I'd like you, as you're hearing that, I'd like you to let yourself just be playing with landing, just letting your body respond to. I'll read this one once more because it's kind of a long one. I turn toward what is actually occurring with open posture and easy breath as I respond resourcefully to what wants to happen. So the invitation there is that when I or you turn toward, I may not have an open posture and easy breath, but I can choose those in the moment. I can turn toward, open my posture, and let my breath get easy. And then what occurs for me is that kind of coherence of my different parts coming together and me getting a clear idea of how to respond. And that usually comes up, and it often feels quite magical, is that, oh, that's what I want to do. This is how I want to respond to this. But at the least, I do feel resourceful rather than scattered and overwhelmed. I do feel like, oh, I can respond to this. And sometimes if it's been a big, like I got some rice out the other day and some of the band had broken. And so rice goes all over the floor, that's just been cleaned. And, so there's this rice. And so my first response is, oh my God, oh, expletive. And then I remembered, oh, okay, if I just let myself turn toward, yes, there's rice all over the floor, and open my posture, then I can get resourceful with it. And so right then I just sort of scooped it over, because I was in the middle of doing something else. And then I went to get my handy little vacuum and vacuumed it up. And, the first response is like, oh my God, so your body can really assist you in these very precise ways of turning toward, opening your posture, and letting your breath be easy. So here's the question, which activates a different part of your brain. How can I turn easily toward what is actually happening and open my body and breath to respond resourcefully to what is emerging? So we've got what's emerging and what wants to happen. And those are almost always unknown. what we're what we're doing over and over again is moving into the unknown, because the next moment is always unknown. Even if I think I know what's going to happen, life has a way of just kind of tweaking that a little bit and going, whoops, nope, that's so I wanted to invite you to have the card just kind of sitting. I like to sometimes have it just sitting by my computer, because when I look at it, I can see, particularly in this one, I can see openings, I can see new pathways, I can see inspiration opening up. And so the images are designed to activate your own imagination and your own increased ability to respond. Yes, so we have done revisions of our cards, and so the revised ones have some different images, but they're related. So we are wanting to create more diversity, and also wanted to change, because one of our fear melters, we wanted to change that from sumo to root. So the cards they're all there really to support you in experiencing more and more wholeness. Because that's what integrity is, wholeness. And when you're experiencing that wholeness, my sense is creativity, being able to respond in ways that expand your own sense of engaging in life. And to me, that's really what we're all about. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here today. This is my favorite time of the week, and I appreciate your being with me. And please stay and have big talk. Ask questions, share what's going on as much as you like. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Mwah. Bye now.